Welcome to our channel. In celebration of our favorite yet very hectic holiday season, we're doing something special this year. Join us as we capture our daily life, sharing a new video every day leading up to Christmas Day. This is gonna be fun.
Okay, welcome back to our channel. This is Vlogmas. Make sure you are subscribed and you turn your notifications on. But let's get into this next video. We're on the property. We've got acre. Acre. Because you know some people are like, we got acres and acres. I'm like, we have an acre. Not even. Anywho, I'm out here in this snow globe. Like, look how a winter wonderland. Dad. What are you doing? Yeah, okay, so this is really gross. Max pointed out the fresh blanket of snow is revealing all the animals that are out here, which include deer, mice, what else?
Our neighbor had wolves on the ground.
Who? Which neighbor?
Salim and Johanna.
Oh, they have wolves?
Yeah, they had wolves been walking around there between their greenhouses.
Oh.
Yeah. I haven't seen wolves here. I saw what I thought was wolves when I was on my walk earlier. I was like, that could be dogs. Because what other animal has like paws?
Not paws, but hooves. Boar.
Oh. What are those? Maybe a fox also.
Oh yeah, foxes. I've seen foxes.
They also have is it called bobcat?
We don't have bobcats here.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
Remember my sister was chased by a bobcat?
Kom Luke. Vi backar.
A bobcat could kill a deer actually.
Of course it can kill a deer. It can kill a human being.
They're like up in trees and stuff.
So this is we're gonna make a little fire and get cozy and have a little chit chat with you. The ground is frozen. A little fika? A little canal brulee?
We're back at it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go inside and get some coffee. We're gonna do a little fika. Fika is Swedish break when you get a coffee and a little pastry or something sweet.
But most importantly, you spend time with your loved ones or your colleagues or whoever.
Or your colleagues. Okay, so let's go inside. Oh, it's so gorgeous. So Max made this interesting observation, which is being able to see all the footprints of the animals. I saw the mice. Ugh. They're cute but gross at the same time. How is that possible? So, tea. We're gonna do tea instead. I haven't had too much coffee for the trip. Christmas tea's the best. It's like all these spices, like chives and stuff. What is he doing? Okay, well, I mean, that's one solution.
Let's sit down and have a candid conversation, no production. And I whipped out the Hollywood sun blocker.
Yeah, I'm just setting up. We had to move the camera because the flames have sounds and this mic is very good. So Let's talk about it. Trust issues.
Do you have trust issues?
I do. Fire's going. Oh, I love recycled wood.
Thank you.
Okay, so we had this idea to talk about trust issues.
Where did you get that idea from?
We just talked about it.
Yeah.
And then somebody had written me on Instagram asking me about trust issues. So before we get into our trust issues with one another, did you have trust issues? Actually, let's start there. Do you have trust issues with me and vice versa?
I don't have trust issues with you. Have
you ever checked my phone?
No, I've never checked your phone. You per se, like if we talk, like trust comes in so many different like forms, right? Like it's so many different. You even talked about it yesterday, like how you were like, oh, I don't have trust issues. And you're like, oh yeah, I do have trust issues about different things. And I feel with you, it's like, do I have trust issues in the sense that you would go on a work trip and cheat on me to make out with another man? No, those are trust issues I've had in the past. Maybe with you, it's more maybe like, maybe I don't trust your process sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're going through like a transformation. And I think that doesn't necessarily have to do with you in itself. Because we change, human beings change, right? We change our perspective, we evolve as human beings. And sometimes I feel like I can get very insecure when I see that you're going down a path that maybe isn't in line with my culture or like what I'm used to and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a trust issue that I have instead of just trusting.
So that's trust issues with yourself.
Maybe
that are reflected.
Yeah, I think so because
in a relationship.
Yeah, because I think this reflects more about like, oh, when you are with a person, like inevitably you're gonna evolve, and what do you do when the other person is evolving and so forth, you know? So I think it's you per se. I don't think I distrust you.
How is that? Like, why is that?
I think because, I think the two main components for that is your belief is very reassuring in a relationship, because I know that you always have this thing where God is watching, and if for you, to cheat on me would be cheating on God, and ultimately that would be like, you could never keep that secret because you would have to confess that. So that's reassuring that I don't have to like be the person who's like, oh, I wonder if she's doing this, I wonder if she has a secret relationship. But that's how I feel anyway.
You know what's wild? Sorry, this is like going on a tangent, but like people in the church cheat all the time. Like pastors are cheating.
Of course, we're human beings. Anyway, that's just like how I learned to fight something that I've had an issue with. And then,
so in the past you've had issues with trust and trusting. Do you think that was you or the other person?
Both. A combination. Like a character thing, and then I also know that you were such a bad liar.
Yeah.
That you couldn't keep a secret to me. You're not a good liar.
No.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think. Is it always good to be a bad liar?
You shouldn't lie.
Never.
I don't think you should.
What about a white lie?
No.
Never.
I feel bad when I even do those now.
If I were to ask you the same thing, how do you have trust issues with me?
Not in to what you said, not in cheating, but I do have trust issues. Yeah. Trusting you with, certain things. Like, this is like such a wife complaint right now, but like, I don't trust that you're gonna do things unless I remind you. Right. Like, I need you to take out the compost. Yeah. Like, I'll be like, let me see if I should tell him, and then I do tell him, and then it's like he waits, and then I have to say it again. So those are my extent to like trust issues.
Is that connected to like housekeeping stuff mainly?
Yeah.
Can you find me like more productive, or if it's something that's more in my interest or something? Like, I
trust you with other things. Like, Max does all of the editing, so I trust that you will finish things. Like the fact that we're doing even Vlogmas, I brought it. Like, I had this idea, but Max was the one who was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and I'm like, just so you know, I can't edit. I can't, like, that would have to be a thing. So I trust that you're going to be able to do it. Yeah. The areas that I had trust issues previously.
I feel like a conversation in the middle of a snowstorm.
Vlogmas. I didn't not trust people. Like, I always generally assumed people think like me, which is not like cheating mentality. So I never was checking phones and stuff like that. But I will like fast forward into the relationship when I was in a previous marriage and it was going south. That's when I started to feel it was less about trust, and it was like my gut is telling me that something is going on.
Like when because that happened to me too.
Yeah.
It's like it's so strong that it's almost like I just need this confirmation.
Yeah.
Just so I can move on, because this is so strong.
Yeah, and so that's when I started to look just to get answers. I think what I am challenged with is because I am the independent woman. I gotta do it for myself. I saw my mom do it for herself. I have to do it for myself. So that's where my issues lie. Like, I don't trust that someone will help me, let alone at times forgive me, God. But sometimes I forget, like, God is there. Like, he's watching and he's moving things. He's doing things. And because I don't see it happening now, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing wrong, God? At least I shifted the focus and like removed it from him. Like, how come you're not listening to that? And I put it on me now. I'm like, now what am I not seeing? What am I not hearing? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting aspect, because I feel like sometimes for someone who's outside, who's never really studied theology or read the word, I'm reading with you now, which I enjoy, like as a couples
we're reading the Bible
activity. Like I really enjoy it, like under those circumstances. But I always felt like it's hard for me to wrap my head around people who are like referring to the word but not seeing any actions. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
I see.
Oh, it says this in the Bible. God is there. God is doing this. But I don't see that you're actually taking responsible for anything yourself.
I see.
Which I know that is part of it. It's the process in itself. So it's interesting that you say that thing, because I feel like that's sometimes what I've had like difficulties just to wrap my head around.
Yeah, faith without works is dead. So I think the thing that encourages me to trust in God more is like, yes, to read his word and like really meditate on it, and then use that as fuel to move through life. Like, there are things that seem so insurmountable, so beyond me. Like, actually, when we were watching that Tyler Perry documentary, like, it seems like such a absurd dream or vision or goal. Yeah. But because God goes before and he makes the path straight, I have to just remind myself that he goes before me.
I will have more challenges when I see you, because I have a past of very like jealousy.
Being cheated on?
Yeah, that too, but I have like levels of jealousy. And I think with you, which was such a relief when I met you, was like I had nothing of that. Right. I think I've touched on this in previous videos too, that you were kind of the person who I would feel jealous of, because you're so successful, so beautiful, so much fun, so talented, all these things. And all of a sudden I'm like, why am I not feeling this when I've been feeling this like people are so much more whack who've treated me like shit, you know what I mean?
Right, and you're more insecure with them than me.
And I've been thinking about that. I was like, I think that's where I got cured from jealousy, right? Right. In that sense, because I found, it sounds so like cheesy, but like maybe true love or whatever that is. But I will say, I think it will be even more challenged as we go through tougher times. For instance, when we're through a tough time, and if we're exposed to a bigger community, and you're like working and you're away, and I see you develop like friendships with other guys and stuff, that you shared similar views and all stuff. Yeah,
like my male friends.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I don't have any issues with that. But it's because I've always had female friends too. Yeah. Like I've grown up with like always having like a 50-50 guy friends and like female friends, and I have guy friends who tell me like you cannot be friends with the opposite sex, and I think that's not true. I think you can very well learn a lot from having friends who have different experiences than you and different.
I think you're different though. Because there are, and not all men are like this, obviously, but there is, a kind of guy that looks at women as, oh, would I sleep with her? Would I not? Like,
yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What are your trust issues with God?
What does that mean?
Do you have trust? Like, what are your areas of trust issues concerning God?
It's a good question. When we get caught up in financial issues or we get caught up in sickness, and I think that's a
Right, yeah.
distrust towards God. I think that's like when you start dwelling in your pain, dwelling in your lack of ambition, when you let that determine your life, that's when I'm starting to distrust God, because I'm not allowing the process. I'm not allowing the circumstances. I'm not being present. And sometimes it's hard. I've been angry at you when I've had like big pain, and you're just like, just accept Jesus. Jesus died for you. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, just let me be human. That, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was going through weeks of pain.
That's what I wanted to give them the context.
Yeah. And
so it was months
of
of him in pain, and yes, he's in pain, but to me, it's like this is ongoing. At some point, you have to let this go.
Yeah.
And so at that point is when I finally said something.
No, it's good. Like you said what you said, and it lands, but like at the moment it's just not nice to hear. Like you even told me that story about your friend. They had like money issues, and then the husband was like, "How can you not stress out about this?" And he's like a heavy like.
They're both Christian.
Yeah. And she's like, "No, because I know God will provide."
Yeah.
And he's like you know.
He was freaking out.
Sometimes it's just like.
And then out of seemingly thin air, they get like a huge amount of money, and she's like it's like, see, God provides, and he's like, how did you know? Yeah. So
how do you aspire to stick to this level of trust that you've now?
Okay, that's a good one. When I find that I have these moments of doubt,
can I ask you more specifically, what's the moment of doubt? Like
when I start like crying, and when I'm like, what am I not doing? When I have those moments, I have nothing left to do. Like, I can't not pray. Like
surrender.
Yeah. And so it's a combination of surrender, but it's also, I'm like, oh, I'm going back into the battle room. Like, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to pray harder. I'm going to fast. I'm going to do the most. Because what I have learned on my journey is, like, God is the truth. So if God is the truth, he can't lie. And I read the word, and the word says, like, I have blessed you. I have, like, you are heirs, you are adopted citizens, and you're all these things, and you are abundant, and I'm like, that's what it's written. So why am I feeling like this? It's because I don't trust that his word is the truth. So, yeah.
Okay, so when feeling broken down, you just need to work harder and surrender.
Well,
I think a lot of stress.
Maybe not at the time, because everyone has different.
Yeah, you have to
moments.
you have to be able to allow yourself to feel too, but ultimately, like, instead of like complaining or whatever, like, you try to change the situation for the better.
I have to do something. I'm like, well, what can I do?
What can you do? Look into what you can do.
Yeah.
I think I'm in a similar position, and I think that maybe I went into this conversation thinking that we were going to talk about trust in a very small proportion, like checking people's phones and relationship and feeling jealous. And I've learned that trust is such a huge,
it's a
bigger aspect, or bigger. It's such a huge part of life.
Yeah.
And I think that boils down to that for me as well, that if I have occurring feelings or jealousy or whatever, then there's something else going on in life, and then that requires work and communication.
Yeah.
And
because somebody,
because it will spark, like, if you feel something, right, like, let's say that I feel that I'm feeling jealous, or I'm like, I find that you're talking about some other guy, for instance, that you're inspired by, a friend, and I get insecure about that, then I think that sparks a good conversation in the relationship, where you can be like, okay, I feel this way. Could it boil down to that I don't feel seen? Can it boil down to that we haven't been intimate for a while? Like, it can, like, I think it can come down to a lot of interesting conversation, and ultimately, like, good conclusions.
Yeah, because there was a moment when you were like, Brad, my friend Brad, before you knew him. Remember, I came back from Spain, Barcelona.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a brief moment.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Brad. But you're like, oh yeah, your friend Brad. And then Brad came and stayed with us.
Yeah.
And then so now you know who he is.
Yeah.
And now he's not just my friend, he's our friend.
Yeah.
And so I guess to your point, to be included and not excluded. And
but see that's where it boils down to again, is like you were with someone who is a creative and know that you're sharing a bond. And maybe it boiled down to that we hadn't created in a while, and then he came and we created all together, and I got like, you know what I mean? Like there's always a deeper.
True, because we hadn't done much.
No, so maybe I was like, maybe I was directing it towards your friendship with Brad, but really there's something else, something underlying.
Something else, yeah.
Yeah, I'm freezing.
Yeah, that's the video. So that's the conversation. Trust. Really take inventory on where you're at. I'm gonna say it. She said it. Read the Bible. Because God, if there is a God, God wouldn't just leave us here to just like, what's going on? How do I figure out? He's like, I've given you a way. Just take a look. So read the word is what I'm gonna say, and trust God. I think it starts there. Trust God, trust yourself, and then move through this world. And if people are bringing about issues that are not positive, that are not healthy, you might want to look at why, and maybe you want to evaluate if you should be in that dynamic. So we uncovered that trust is something bigger than just one particular thing. I'm curious, I think we're curious to hear what your trust issues are and how it reflects in your life. So keep the conversation going in the comments below, and as always, subscribe to our channel so you know when we're upload again, and put your notifications on. There's a lot of vlogs, a lot of content coming out our way this season, so we want to share that all with you. So until the next video, which will be tomorrow. Bye.